All right, everyone, welcome back to Power Up of Pride, supporting the Trevor Project. We're super duper happy to have y'all here with us early this morning or late this night. Time is a very questionable thing right now. I am your current host, Scala Kitty. My pronouns are she, her, and we have our wonderful commentary team who's here going to lead us through Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. If you have never seen Free Enterprise before, a very quick rundown of what it is. We have taken the beloved game Final Fantasy IV on the original Super Nintendo. We have torn out all of the story. None of that matters anymore. We have randomized all of the key items, the bosses, the characters, the treasures, the shops. Everything's been changed around. We've basically turned this game into a giant scavenger hunt. Our forerunners we have today, we have Demarine 2, Moonblaze Wolf, Silverfire, and Maggie the Cat. They are going to have to find the adamant ore and the legend sword to be able to forge their crystal, to go and fight Zeromus on the moon. They will have to have access to Kolkol's Forge down in the underground to do that. And they will also need access to Zeromus either by way of the moon or by way of the pass, which brings you straight to Zeromus's lunar dais up there. So hopefully that's a pretty good overview of what Free Enterprise is. And I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful commentary team, Casual Geek Dave and Rex Rawl, who will be giving you the play-by-play on this wonderful seed. And thank you, everyone who donated for our character names, for our final boss fight, and for our harp music. Y'all are fantastic. Thank you so much for supporting Power Up with Pride and the Trevor Project.
Hello, I am Rex Raul, and we're just getting ready to get started here tonight. My pronouns are he and him, and I am joined by Casual Geek Dave, as Scala just mentioned. Dave, are you excited for this race tonight? Because I know I am.
Oh, I'm amped. This is going to be a fantastic race. Like you said, I am Casual Geek Dave. I go by he, him as well. And yeah, this is going to be exciting Ladies' Night seed for us today.
Yeah, Ladies' Night. So the only characters that we have available for our runners tonight are going to be the female characters in the game. That's Porum, Rydia, and Rosa. And it looks like we get a Rydia start with some fabulous blue hair.
Most definitely. And we're getting ready to get the countdown in just a moment and get this started.
All right, I'll be doing the countdown for y'all on stream and also for our runners. So let's get ready to start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
All right, so the first thing we're going to be seeing once the stream gets going for these runners is we're going to see the second character, and the Baigen is going to give them whatever boss is in the Baigen spot is going to give them an item. Looks like we've got Porum joining Rydia, and we've got a pink tail. That's not just a fashionable accessory, is it, Dave?
No, that guarantees, assuming that they are able to get the hook, that they have an access to an adamant armor, which, especially for this group, is going to be particularly useful.
It is the best piece of equipment in the game. Yeah, I'd say the best piece of equipment, not just armor or anything. I will say, though, on this particular one, it's not going to yield that. We do have a flag called No Adamants. So we're not going to see an adamant armor there, but it will give a high tier. It won't be a key item, but it'll be something good.
That's right. And with this pool, with it being Ladies' Night, we're limiting the character pool to just Rydia, Rosa, I should say, and Porum. So that adamant armor could become pretty handy because they are not great at taking hits to begin with, and adamant can make a lot of bosses fairly trivial. So it's going to help them out quite a bit if they find that hook.
Rosa's going to be the one who can take the most damage from enemies. She does have pretty good HP growth, but Rydia and Porum are both pretty squishy overall. What we're seeing at the beginning of the run is a pretty standard strategy from our runners to go. There's in the town of Barron, right at the beginning, there's a lot of treasure chests, and so you get to raid that whole town of all of its loot, and then you can go to the item shop, sell anything that you don't need for a lot of money, and then get some of those randomized items in the shop that you can use to make your run a bit better.
And my apologies, there was a call out in chat about that. The no adamance flag is on, so we will not be seeing an adamant armor in this seed.
And we also see up on Moonblaze Wolf's screen, heading to the Watery Pass to find another copy of Rydia. One thing that's allowed in this flag set is you could have multiple copies of a character in your party. That's something that's not available in the vanilla game, of course, because each person is just themselves. But here, yeah, we can have multiple Rydias, no problem. We also see down on Maggie the Cat screen, they headed over to the Castle of Toria, where Edward is sleeping in a bed, and he's willing to give you a key item. And it looks like Maggie was able to find something important there. That was the hook. Now that can be used to turn in that pink tail that we found earlier. It also gives access to the underworld via Evelyn Castle, or excuse me, Evelyn Cave. That's going to be the longer route. There's another item called the Magma Key that will give more direct access to the underworld, and the runners are definitely going to try to find that if they can.
Most definitely. We will probably see a lot of that early check since we do have free lunch enabled. I think we're going to see a lot of runners go and check out and pick up that hook.
Yeah, we see that happen on Silverfire's screen right there. Meanwhile, Moonblaze Wolf heading over to Demarin as well, heading over to Castle Damcian. There's a bunch of treasure chests in the basement of this, and there's no encounters or key items that you're going to get here. At the top of Damcian, you can get the hovercraft enabled, and there's also going to be another character waiting for our runners up there so that they can start to fill out their party.
And fortunately, in here they are finding some decent bows, which is very useful for this group. They're all bow users, so that could come in handy here early on.
And it looks like another copy of Porum is found up at the top of Castle Damcian, so that's going to be a nice find for our parties. We still haven't seen Rosa, and one thing to be noted: all of the runners have agreed to have at least one of each of the three available ladies in their parties, so they are going to be looking for that Rosa.
And looking down in Sill's corner there, looks like they did find some coffins and some grimoires. Both could come in quite handy if they get the available funds to pick any up.
Yeah, the grimoire will summon a random Esper from that are available in the game to attack the enemies that you're at. So you could roll lucky and get Bahamut to come and clean house, or you could get unlucky and have a Chocobo try to kick your opponent and not really help you out that much. The coffins, on the other hand, depending on which enemy you use it on, could spell instant death, but a lot of bosses are immune to it.
And meanwhile, Maggie's checking out Hobbs to see what spell we can get for Rydia.
Yeah, it looks like that's Sylph.
That is a decent early find.
Yeah, Sylph has a couple of really interesting properties in this game. It does damage the enemy and heals the party at the same time, so that's a very useful thing just in general. It also has a weird sort of bug that's in the vanilla game as well, whereas as long as you have enough MP to cast it, it doesn't actually cost any MP for Rydia to use it over and over again. So that's a really nice find, especially early in the game. Once Rydia gets enough levels that she has enough MP to cast Sylph, we can use Sylph as much as we want.
Definitely a good early find. Looks like along the way Maggie found a dancing dagger as well, which is some decent early physical damage.
Yeah, it's that's something that's used in the vanilla speedrun quite a bit. You can use it as an item in battle to do quite a bit of damage, and for a level 1 character to use that, that's going to do a lot more damage than they're going to be able to do with any other uh, method at this point in the game.
And Maggie's checking out the Antlion Cave, so we should be able to see one of our bosses in the near future. Looks like Sill's heading that way as well.
Yeah, and Moonblaze Wolf not far behind either. Not surprised that a lot of the runners are checking this out. It's a very early game in the vanilla game, so the boss at the bottom is not very strong. Now, the way the bosses work in Free Enterprise is the boss is randomized, but the stats of whatever boss you find there is scaled to whatever the stats of the vanilla location is. So at the bottom of Antlion Cave in the vanilla game, you fight Antlion. What a surprise. So whatever boss we find down at the bottom of the cave will have the same stats as Antlion. Now it'll have whatever attack script it normally has wherever you would normally find it, but its strength, HP, agility, and everything like that is going to be whatever Antlion's is. So this is going to be a pretty low, doesn't take a ton of effort to defeat this boss. Plus, there's a ton of treasures in this cave, so it just makes for a very nice early run.
Yeah, with all those treasures, is definitely a tempting spot to check early and get some early experience, get a possible key item. Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, that experience, especially, I think the only one that I saw make that check to get the self-summon was Maggie. So they're going to be really interested in getting Rydia that experience boost. But we find kind of a nasty boss down here.
Yep, good old Trollbez.
Yeah, Golbez, when I say they use the same attack script, so Golbez is going to go through this long process of holding people, killing everybody except 2 party members, and then throwing a bunch of magic at you. Now, luckily, the magic stat for Antlion is not very strong, so it's not going to be super strong magic that he throws, but even at this level, where you've got like Rydia with 30 HP, even a low-level spell could be very dangerous.
Yeah, while they're scaled down, they're still higher tier spells, so they can still cause enough damage to be pretty dangerous at this low level.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the trick is the way that you can usually deal with Golbez is by using an item called a Star Veil or a Moon Veil that can put wall on the character, and then the magic that Golbez has will be reflected back to him. And so now that Lit 3 spell gets reflected back to Golbez, and we could go from there.
Yeah, Maggie X really kind of used 2 maneuvers there. One thing that's commonly used in the vanilla speedrun as well is called run buffering, and that kind of holds up the ATB queue while the letters for can't run away are on screen, to just give her a couple extra seconds to pop that, give them the extra couple seconds just to pop that Star Veil, give them some security through the fight.
Yeah, it's definitely a method that can give you a few precious seconds over the course of the battle. It looks like both Maggie and Silverfire are able to get through that fight without too much of an issue. Don't get a key item to get a Gugner Spear. That's just going to be sold because it's a weapon for Kain, and we don't have Kain in this seat. Yep. We do see a character up on Demarin's screen. Demarin went over to Mysidia, where there are 2 characters waiting, and she found her Rosa.
Definitely a decent early grab. Yeah, that spear not going to do much good. Makes for some decent couch change at this point.
Yeah, basically all the heavy armor, the swords, the hammers, the spears, anything like that is going to be just turned into cash. But a lot of the items that we see were kind of dummied out of the American version of Final Fantasy IV, but they were present in the Japanese version. We call them J items for that reason. and a lot of them are very expensive. Items like these star veils we talked about. We see some on Silverfire's screen here, the Bacchus wines, the blizzards, Stardust. These are all very useful items that you can use either as attack items or status items in battle. And they can really make a lot of the bosses that seem a lot more difficult, a lot more manageable. But they are very, very expensive, as you see, buying Boreasus, which do an all-targeting Ice 2 spell at a pretty high attack level, but it costs a lot of money to have access to that.
Yeah, but definitely a decent early grab can make a lot of bosses a lot more obtainable at early levels. Looks like Demarin is working the way through Golbez. Moonblaze probably checking out the Fabul Gauntlet spot, while looks like everyone else is going shopping.
Yeah, and there's a lot of towns in the overworld, and all of them have access to different item shops. Now, we'll probably see a lot more dipping into the item shops than any of the equipment shops, because those powerful J items are very good. But we do see, it looks like Maggie is dipping into that equipment shop. The problem is there's so many items or equipment for sale that the Ladies' Night crew just don't have access to. Looks like Maggie did find wizard shirts, which are a very useful piece of gear for magic users. So had the cash on them, so just decided to splurge on some nice new duds.
And Moonblaze, meanwhile, has selflessly decided to defend the King of Fabul. Let's see what boss we're going to get here in the normal Fabul Gauntlet spot. Looks like it is Valvalis.
Yeah, Valvalis is a boss that's particularly difficult for this sort of situation, because in the vanilla game, she's meant to be defeated by having Kain jump on her and break her out of the tornado form. Without access to Kain at all in this seed, you've got to find a way to defeat her without breaking the tornado form. And her evasion is much higher right now. Now, one way that you can do it, and you see the use of a Bacchus wine to inflict the Berserk status so that you can hit better, but it's still not easy to hit her right now. I'm seeing a lot of misses on Moonblaze's wolf screen.
Yeah, that evasion's really high right now. So it looks like opting to probably reset and come back later.
Yeah, at that point you have to determine, is it going to be something where I can tweak my equipment and positioning in the battle to make that work, or is it just something where I'm going to have to come back when I'm a higher level? And that might just be the best way of dealing with it.
Yeah, so at this point, looks like mostly just shopping, grabbing some items. I think Dem is going to go check the Fabul Gauntlet spot now.
Yeah, I think Silverfire is going to be checking that pretty shortly, and I think we might have missed it on commentary, but I believe Maggie also went there. And just did not want to deal with Valvalis at this point. So there's a couple other places that are open to our runners right now in the overworld. In the Baron Inn, there's a couple of bosses, and if you beat both of them, there's a potential key item. And then there's the Trek Up Mount Ordeals with 3 bosses and a cutscene for a potential key item. So we've got a couple places where our runners might go before having to dip down that hook route.
Very quickly, while we kind of have everyone sort of crisscrossing and shopping, can I read a very quick donation?
Go right ahead.
Please.
So we have $50 from the Wayfaring Fox, who says, "Here's to help a great cause in supporting LGBTQ youth who are struggling day by day." And this is just a reminder that all of your donations are going to be going directly to the Trevor Project. They do an absolutely wonderful job doing activism and outreach for LGBTQ youth, mainly going through and helping out with crisis intervention and suicide prevention. So it's an absolutely wonderful cause, and if you are ever more interested in it, you can go to thetrevorproject.org to access their services, find out more about their impact, or to donate beyond Power Up with Pride. And I'll turn it back over to Dave and Rex and to our racers.
Thanks,
so much,
Scala.
Scala. And thank you for that donation.
While Scala was talking, Moonblaze Wolf did go into a equipment shop in Mysidia, found an interesting item, the Dragon Whip. This is the most powerful weapon that is unique to Rydia. So that's going to give her an option where you can choose to build her either as a fighter or a spellcaster. And so depending on either what bosses you're coming across, you might want to let her whip with that Dragon Whip, because that does 4 times damage against dragon enemies, and there are a number of bosses that are dragons.
Yeah, Dragon Whip is no joke, and in the right positions can really deal some damage.
Yeah, and also what's notable is we have access to potentially find sirens in shops, and sirens summon monsters, summons whatever the rarest encounter is wherever you're standing. And there's a couple of places that we tend to use sirens to grind levels in order to beat the final boss, Zeromus. And in a lot of the places where we use those sirens, the enemies that we summon are dragons. And so the Dragon Whip can really help make some of the grinding at the end go a lot smoother as well.
Well, looks like Maggie's found a Leviathan.
Is that in the Baron Inn, it looks like?
I think so. I didn't catch which
Yeah,
spot.
Demarin just went and activated the same battle. So this is the first battle in the Baron Inn. This is a pretty low HP spot, but that big wave that that Leviathan opens with always does 25% of your max HP. So it's going to be tough no matter what spot it's in.
Yep, it can add up pretty quick.
Absolutely. And looks like Moonblaze Wolf is going to go check out that pink tail, see what he can get from that. Oh, and Silverfire. Oh no, Silverfire is just going shopping in Silvera.
A white robe, not bad.
Yeah.
Pretty useful for Rosa or Porum.
Yeah, and even young Rydia can use it, though I don't think it's going to be best served on her, since it boosts the white mage staff, which is a will. Though Rydia does have access to Cure 1 as a child, I think it's going to be a lot better served on the characters who can cast Cure 2 and some other important white magic.
I think Moonblaze is going after my heart here by going for that early ordeals check, which I love. See what bosses lie before us here on ordeals.
Yeah, in this particular flag set with these characters, there's not really a ton of incentive to going up to Mount Ordeals, but two of the 3 bosses up here do yield experience points, so it is a good way to get some levels on your characters, if nothing else.
And a couple more items, and then if they're able to make their way through, a potential key item.
Yeah, and since we are still looking for that magma key to avoid a hook route, or at least the runners are, sometimes people who watch it much prefer the hook route. But if the Baron Inn doesn't yield that magma key, we might see other runners heading up to that Mount Ordeals as well. Looks like the second fight in the Baron Inn is a nasty one in the Babool Gauntlet, and that's a gauntlet of 6 fights in a row they have to do.
Yeah, and with some decent physical output there at these HP levels, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I think Maggie had to take a reset out of that. Demarin seems to be doing pretty good here, making good use of that dancing dagger to help get through there, as well as the archery skills of Rosa. Or if we're going with the names of Trixie, Xandra, and Tifa, that's who we've got here.
And we have a water hag. So free fight here.
Yeah, the script for Water Hag is you hit it 3 times and it says "arg," and then it leaves.
My kind of fight.
Yeah, there's a couple locations where that alternate script of beating it by just hitting it 3 times, no matter how much damage you do.
Oh, and Demarin finds Bahamut in that spot. So while not a key item, a very useful ability for Rydia going forward.
Yeah, without a doubt, especially in the early game, that's going to be able to take care of a lot of the bosses. Just summon Bahamut, and you're good.
Yeah, that is a great find.
Yeah, I think if you get to that point where you learn Bahamut, you might want to have as many Rydias as you can throughout the course of the game, because it does cost a lot of MP to use, and the more Rydias, the more MP you have.
Yeah, Moonblaze is topping up. Probably going to do a quick safety save and see what our second boss on our deals is.
Speak of the devil, we have Bahamut in the second location here on Mount Ordeals. Interesting, does not count as a dragon as far as the Dragon Whip is concerned, but Moonblaze Wolf has access to that Sylph Summon, and that's going to do quite a bit of damage against the boss at this point for what levels his characters are.
Yeah, but is it going to be enough?
Yeah, wonder if he's got any of those Star Veils. Yeah, he does. So if it gets too close, can use a Star Veil to reflect the Mega Nuke once the countdown gets down past 1. But I think he's gonna have enough damage output to do it. Looks like I saw Silverfire dipping into Castle Eblin, got to a trap chest but did a reset. That's a way to find a lot more equipment and get some experience. Not sure. Doesn't look like he wants to, or looks like they want to try again. So might try a different strategy at this point now.
And Moonblaze having no problem with Bahamut. Demarin, meanwhile, turning in that pink tail to get a white robe.
Yeah, no adamant armor, but a white robe is probably the next best that you can get for your white mages.
And you'll notice there, where Moonblaze took the safety save and upped, did a quick cabin last time. Going into this fight, they're automatically healed and ready to go. Ooh, and an Artemis bow. That's a really good find. And this is a pretty low HP spot, so they felt pretty confident going in. That Artemis bow is a big find for Rosa.
Yeah, the best bow in the game. So if you want to make your Rosa deal a decent amount of physical damage, the Artemis bow is the best way to do that. But
Quickest way to send some monsters down to the Hades.
Yeah, exactly. But we don't have. What we don't have is another key item. So we're still looking for. It looks like the only way that we've got underground right now, the hook, and looks like now Maggie is in Castle Eblin, probably to get some decent experience before going down that hook route, because the bosses that are in there are pretty high level compared to the characters that we have right now. So taking care of these trap chests that have a pretty high experience value to them is a way that you can kind of beef up your characters a little bit before having to deal with some difficult bosses.
And especially with it being a potential hook seed, having to go through Eblon to get to where they want to go, some experience might come in handy, because you can get gated by the boss there pretty easily.
Yeah, without a doubt. And The other thing is Maggie had to reset out of that Fabul Gauntlet fight in Baron Inn, so might want the experience even just for that. It is worth noting, I think it goes without saying, but I think just to make sure that everybody is aware, the runners have no idea where everybody else has been. They can't see each other, what they're doing.
Yep, completely blind.
So even though we know that you don't get a key item for completing this fight here in the Baron Inn, Moonblaze Wolf and Maggie and Silverfire don't know that.
If they make it through it, though, they will get a Bahamut for their troubles, and that is a worthy cause.
Yeah, that might be good enough reason to do it. The runners might want to do it just for that reason anyways. However, they don't know that that's what they're going to get. They're going to hope that it's the Magma Key. Silverfire now gets the Bahamut summon. And now we see Bahamut on Bahamut action up on Tamarin's screen. That's fun to see. And you can see just the difference in damage that Bahamut deals compared to Sylph that we saw earlier. So that's like almost 5 times as much damage. And as Rydia gets even stronger and levels up more and more, that damage is just going to increase. We're going to get to the point where Bahamut is going to get close to that quad 9. And it's like once you've got that Bahamut summon, then the bosses that you might have to face in the hook route through Cave Evelyn, they're not as scary when you've got Bahamut backing you up.
Yeah, it looks like Maggie's feeling more confident. It's ready to take on Valvalis.
Oh, that's interesting. Maggie's the first to head back to Fabul to try that one out. That's interesting. After fighting some of those battles in the Castle Evelyn, we'll see if that makes a difference and we can get through the tornado form and the high invasion of Valvalis here.
Yeah, fortunately, with a decent bow and arrow equipped in a good spot, Rosa has a pretty good chance of hitting. So hopefully the evasion won't be too high here, and it'll be low enough for Rosa to get those arrows through.
Yeah, and both Rosa and Rydia able to get a hit in before Valvalis even turned into tornado mode, and looks like still able to deal damage in tornado form from Rosa. And I think that's with that Artemis bow, and so that is just great for Maggie. So it looks like they're going to be the first on our stream to beat Valvalis, and so we're going to see if that's going to help propel Maggie to the next stage of this game.
Yeah, a decent little chunk of levels there too, getting access to the Berserk spell for many people. With a pretty decked out Rosa at this point, that Berserk spell can come in handy.
Yeah, without a doubt, that's going to make it so that Rosa can deal some real good physical damage.
And a rat tail. All right.
Yeah, that's potentially something. We'll turn. I'm sure Maggie is going to go ahead and turn that in. I don't know if they had. I think they already picked up the white shirt from the Adamant Grotto, but in either case, we'll probably be heading back there soon to see what the rat tail turn-in is going to yield.
All right. Silverfire's facing their Bahamut now. Dem's finished up and is moving on.
Yeah, it looks like Demarin might be ready to go, armed with Bahamut, to go to that hook route. It's interesting. I wonder if any of the other runners are going to make the same play that Maggie did and go back to that Valvalis, or if the rest of the runners are just going to avoid it, as it looks like Demarin is doing here. Because if this rat tail play does not end up leading to either something important like the Adamant or the Legend Sword or the underground access like through the Magma Key, then this could be just, a little bit of time that's slipped away from Maggie. But who knows? We'll find out before too long. This is a gamble, and it's just interesting to see the routing decisions that the runners make, given that this is a randomizer.
And then the Luca key. So at the very least, it's a key item. That's something we can check off the list, but not what they were hoping for, I'm assuming.
It kind of depends, again, on the routing that happens. Now, once Maggie has access to the underworld, they might be a little bit behind some of the other runners in getting to the underworld, but they'll have that extra place to check once they are underworld. And so we'll see whether or not that ends up playing in the end.
Yeah, something worth noting while that was going on, Moonblaze dumped some inventory, sold some stuff, and picked up a heroine robe for Rosa, which is a really good get with an Artemis bow. Definitely going to help her be a more capable fighter.
Yeah, it is worth noting that both the Artemis bow and the heroine robe, and also to the point, the dragon whip, you do get a penalty to your magic stat when you've got these equipped. So you kind of have to choose if you want to deck them out as a fighter or a healer, or a spellcaster is probably better than a healer. But having heroine robe, Artemis bow, that's a setup that's good for physical damage against Zeramis, the final boss of the game. So I definitely understand Moonblaze Wolf wanting to do that.
Yeah, I like what I'm seeing from Moonblaze here as well, opting to avoid the chest, not worry about potentially running into a trap chest. This is just going to blaze on through, so to speak, and try to see what bosses they have to face to get through, and possibly pick up this Rosa.
Yeah, and that's an interesting choice too. We do see Demerin opening a lot of the chests here, so Demerin might have a lot more money available to her in the underworld to check when because there's going to be 3 more shops open down there as well. But it does cost more time to go through them, and Demerin did have a bit of a difficult time dealing with the trap chest with Stalman in it. And now we see Moonblaze Wolf has made it to Upper Babil. This is an area that comes pretty late in the vanilla game, and we're here at 35 minutes in to the run here. So in general, this is the boss that's at here is the vanilla Rubicante spot, and that is a pretty high, a pretty dangerous boss. Did you catch who the boss was, Dave?
I did not.
Okay, I missed it too, and I apologize for that.
The boss at the Rubicante spot is Antlion.
Antlion. Okay.
Okay, that's not too bad. It'll be
busy with my terrible puns.
With access to the like, especially on Demerin's screen, with access to the Bahamut, they should be able to cleave through Antlion without too much damage. And Antlion only does physical attacks, and Rubicant isn't really known for his physical prowess. He uses magic in his game, in his fight. So what Antlion is really known for is if you hit him with a physical counter with a horn attack, which is going to be pretty significant to our runners because they don't have much HP. But as long as they avoid the direct physical fight attacks, you can use Rosa's aim attack, and that doesn't give the counter. And any magic you use, including Bahamut, won't count. So,
yeah, making some work with some trap chest here to get some experience is definitely a good call.
Maggie was able to get through the Fabul Gauntlet and got their Bahamut, and Silverfire made the same play as Maggie and went back to Fabul to defeat Valvalis using Bahamut and got their Rat Tail.
All right, Maggie making a pit stop to see what character was waiting down here. Opting to perhaps, looks like pick up another Rydia.
Yeah, now that they found Bahamut, getting another Rydia makes a lot of sense.
It can have Porum taking up all the spotlight.
Well, don't tell Demarin that. Yeah, Demarin might be the biggest Porum fan of all.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Excuse me, y'all forgot absolutely wonderful FE runner and also Super Mario RPG runner Pidge01, who has declared Porum is her daughter.
That's true.
Whatever, everyone's just looking cute, so I'm happy.
Absolutely fabulous.
Absolutely. Fab flag, best flag. Well, C flag also best flag. There's a lot of good flags, okay? A lot of
So
them
many
are
good flags.
very close to my heart.
We do see us. Oh, did you have something more?
I don't have any donations right now. Just wanted to very quickly remind people about the next incentive that's coming up because it's another Final Fantasy incentive. We have an incentive for Chocobo Racing to play the Final Fantasy 8 track and get a hidden character. So we're about halfway through that incentive, and if you'd like to donate to make that happen, that run's going to be happening in about 5-ish hours from now. So you have a couple of have some time to get that one met. But I believe in you, chat.
Oh yeah, it's a worthy incentive. Trust me.
All right, I'll let y'all get back to it.
Well, thank you so much. And unfortunately, we see Odin blocking the way to the underground. Moonblaze running into a little bit of trouble there.
Yeah, now this is a pretty scary boss. This is the vanilla fight here is King and Queen of Evelyn, and all they do in the vanilla game is throw a few low-level fire spells at you and then regain consciousness and go away. But you wouldn't know it to look at them, but they've got a really high physical attack. And so a boss like Odin here, who hits physically a lot, is very dangerous in a spot like this.
Yeah, with the damage output here, it's going to be crucial. Honestly, a little bit of luck involved to make sure you can get the damage off that you need before Odin just takes out your damage dealers. So a little bit of luck and a lot of skill required to get through here.
Looks like Moonblaze Wolf changed equipment to use the lightning arrows to hit a weakness on Odin. Combined that with the Berserk spell to deal lots of damage with Rosa real quickly, and then just backed it up with a little bit of Thor Rage, which also takes advantage of the weakness that Odin has to lightning, and was able to get through it that way. So very heads-up play there by Moonblaze Wolf.
All right, now it's just a matter of taking down Antlion. Antlion also going to hit pretty hard in this spot, so gonna have to go after it pretty hard here.
Yeah, it looks like Moonblaze Wolf did have a Moon Veil, which in addition to giving the wall that the Star Veil does, it also sets a barrier status, which makes you immune to physical attacks. So that's a way to get around the physical attacks that the Antlion can give.
Making good use of those illusions as well, which adds the blink status.
Yeah, the blink will make the next 2 physical attacks miss. And so you have to re-up after that, but once that's applied, then you can use things like Bahamut in order to just churn out the damage here. Ooh, Demarin very close. Was able to was able to get the Bahamut off, but it wasn't quite enough to finish off Odin. And so the Odin attack, the Zantetsuken, able to take down her entire team.
Making good use of Sylph there to top up. Meanwhile, Maggie's finishing off ordeals. And Sill's opting to pick up Rosa and ditch one of the Porums.
Yeah, especially knowing that there's the chest in Upper Babel with those 4 Mad Ogres. That's a pretty decent source of experience if they want it. Taking a low-level character is not bad at this point, but it looks like Sill's just opting to just go right at it. Looks like Demerin throwing everything in the art at this Odin. Throw in a Grimoire, getting a Shiva out of it. Here comes a Boreas. Any way to deal more damage. And here comes Bahamut, and hopefully this will take out Odin for Demerin's sake.
Yep, just racing to the end, and she got it.
Nicely done. Now, please go back and save. Thank you, Demerin.
Yeah, don't blame her at all for a safety save after that.
Yeah, that's something that people might not realize, that you do have time to go back and save in between these 2 bosses. Since it's the first boss in the vanilla game is just basically a freebie boss, and you get a free heal afterwards, a lot of people don't even realize that you've got the opportunity to go back and save in between the 2 bosses. But it's very...
Wolf.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Yeah.
Moonblaze Wolf has finished off Antlion. Will be the first one underground.
That is that's big game there. Because one of the things that we do require is underground access, because you need to be able to get to Kokol's hut. But we still have 3 of the other 3 things needed to beat this game are still up for grabs. We haven't seen the Legend Sword, we haven't seen the Adamant, and we haven't seen a way to get to Zeramis.
And if I saw that correctly, I believe Baigen is on top of tower.
The top of the tower spot is a spot that has a pretty high HP value, but not very threatening physical or magic. So Baigen is a lot scarier on spaces where, like in the King and Queen Evelyn spot, where the physical damage is really strong. So being in a place like that is not as scary, but I think you'd still rather avoid the tower if you can.
All right, now underground. Time to check some chests. Maybe do a little shopping.
And Moonblaze Wolf did take some time to talk to the employment dwarf, my personal favorite NPC. There's a dwarf in Tomura Town that if you talk to them, they have a different job every seed.
And that vendor has Artemis arrows. That's a good get.
Yeah, especially partnered with the Artemis bow that was available to the runners earlier. We've got a heroine robe. We've got a very strong Rosa. This is the warrior princess Rosa, without a doubt.
Dimmer in a little bit of a tight spot here.
and using an elixir to fill up on MP. I think Demeron's okay because it looks like she used a Moon Veil. So Rydia there isn't going to be in any danger, but she has to figure out a way to deal the final amount of damage to defeat Antlion. And Bahamut does cost a lot of MP.
Yeah, opting to switch it up for Sylph just to manage that MP.
Yeah. Maggie able to get through Odin there. Looks like using a similar technique to Moonblaze Wolf with the lit arrows dealing extra damage to Odin there.
And Demeron's through. Be our second runner underground.
Well played by Demeron. The Odin spot gave her a bit of a trouble, but was able to get through there with some patience, and now it's not that far behind Moonblaze Wolf, all things considered. Because all Moonblaze Wolf has done so far is done some looting and a little bit of shopping in the underground. Hasn't gone to any other checks yet, so...
Yeah, Moonblaze being very conservative but safe and giving themselves a lot of room for error with items, and looks like possibly taking some time to grind some levels here real quick.
Yeah, going to a spot here on the far western edge of the underground. There's a spot where if you use a siren, it's going to summon an egg. That egg contains a yellow dragon, and it is the best source of experience, like per second, that you could get in the game until you've got moon access, and then I'm still not sure which is if the gold dragon grind or the egg grind is faster. They both yield a lot of experience, and the egg fights just go so fast once you can one-shot them.
Yeah, I think it's largely situational, and in this position it is going to give Moonblaze a lot of security for the fights coming up, and with a party this potentially squishy, some security is definitely not a bad idea.
Yeah, and so you see Moonblaze Wolf able to one-shot using that Artemis bow, Artemis arrows, deals quad damage, or 4 times damage on these eggs. You see hitting for 6,000, getting 34,000 experience a pop. That's just such a solid chunk of experience. Even Radio Learning Virus, that's a pretty high level that she does that, so going to be at a pretty safe point here. Wherever Moonblaze Wolf decides to go next, he should be ready for the bosses. The toughest ones in the underground are probably, if you go by stat block, probably the bosses in the Land of Summoned Monsters, which could potentially give key items in this flag set.
We also have that Luca key, so if they go after that boss, definitely no slouch from a stat perspective.
Yeah, I think that's just below the Leviathan boss, I would say. However, I don't believe Moonblaze Wolf has access to the Luca key right now, because I don't think he went back and defeated Valvolus.
That is true.
So, once Maggie and Silverfire they'll have that available to them. But Demeron and Moonblaze, that's not available to them at this point in time.
A couple levels grinding Moonblaze, not wasting any time, going straight to the Fey Marsh to see what's going on down here.
Yeah, speaking of not wasting any time, Demeron has gone and has found the Karate Man. I believe that's in Dwarf Castle, where there are 2 bosses and a potential key item there. Gotta love the healing power of the sylphs.
Yeah, it also gives us adult radio, which is not really a drastic change, but a change in appearance.
It does also give access to the level 2 elemental spells, as well as the default summons. Not that they tend to get a lot of use in pre-enterprise, especially when you've got access to Bahamut itself, which are just outclass the other ones. But every now and then, having access to a level 2 elemental spell can come in handy.
And Moonblaze found the Baron key in the Feymarch chest.
And also took a peek at the bosses there. We have one moon boss, and the other one is the Dark Imps. And so that's an interesting one. We'll see. It doesn't look like he wants to deal with them right now, but the Dark Imps are susceptible to a lot of status effects, including which is what the Hourglasses can inflict. So that's not going to be too difficult to boss if he wants to take him on. It looks like he is heading back. I'm thinking he's at least going to take on the Dark Imps. I'm not sure if he's going to try that Moon Boss that's sitting in the Ashura spot, but we'll see. Looks like the second fight in Dwarf Castle is the Calbrena fight. Kind of French vanilla, just one spot over from their vanilla location.
And to quote a wonderful person, is this even randomized?
And one Boreas able to take them all out.
All right. Now the Infinity Gauntlet's going to go do its thing, slowly grab its Infinity Stone while the party just sits and watches, sitting on their hands.
Sitting on their Infinity hands. I don't know what I have to say.
And a pan. Not a bad get at all.
Yeah, in this flag set, that pan means if Demrin heads over to Sylph Cave, we'll now have access to potentially 3 key item checks. There's one that when you hit Yang in the head with the pan, the Sylphs will potentially give you a key item. And then there's 2 key items after going and talking to Yang and hitting him with the pan that Yang's wife and Fabul, Sheila, will offer to you. So this is a lot of checks that Demrin gets to make in quick succession here. And it looks like both Maggie and Silverfire have gotten past that Antlion fight, so they're going to be in the underworld in just a moment.
And Moonblaze finishing off the Dark Imps as well. Getting the spoon.
Yeah, it does count as a key item, but there's use for this party configuration. Might as well sell it.
Darren found a Murasame, which is not very useful either, but we also have several other spots open, so looks like she's going to crack a couple of eggs before going to check that out.
Yeah, leaving us all wondering. Looks like Moonblaze Wolf does want to take a peek at that Lunar Boss, see if he's got what it takes to defeat it right now, so let's see. Ooh, the Ogopogo. That's
Ogopogo.
Yeah, that is a scary one. Ogopogo always opens with double big wave, so that'll do 50% of everybody's HP to start with. Then it'll go with some pretty strong physical attacks in this spot. The vanilla Ashura spot has a pretty high physical stat. Luckily, Rosa with that heroin robe, Artemis bow, and and Berserk can dish out damage pretty fast. And the Heroine Robe, in addition to being able to boost the attack, is also pretty good at physical defense. So looks like Ogopogo is not dealing a ton of damage. And it looks like Moonblaze Wolf had found an Ashura somewhere, so he gets to heal again, even from Rydia. Ogopogo does not like it if you use any kind of magic on it. Counters a lot of that with, depending on what it is, spells or summons with either weak or blaze to deal more damage to you.
Yeah, so probably just going to rely on that Berserk Rosa to deal most of the output here.
Yeah, use everybody else to heal up, keep everybody alive. At this point, you kind of want to revive people for a couple reasons. One, it's an extra target for your for the Ogopogo to hit. And secondly, this is a pretty good experience spot. You get quite a bit of XP for beating these bosses down at the bottom of the Fame Arch. So you'd like as many of your characters to reap those benefits as possible.
All right. Takes out Ogopogo.
Yeah, very well handled by Moonblaze Wolf there.
And a Dragoon Spear for the treble.
Wow, these pieces of Gomon are really trying to hide themselves good today.
They could be tucked away on the moon.
Sheila could have the goods too, though. Sheila often has the goods.
Sheila often does have the goods. I think Moonblaze accidentally used a siren there. Meant to grab that cabin. All right, Silverfire is going to take on the almighty Karate Man.
It looks like Maggie is heading back up to the overworld. Do they have some shopping to do?
Perhaps maybe doing a character swap.
Oh, I guess that's a potential.
Yeah, looks like it needs more Rosa.
Yeah, one of the things in the vanilla version of Final Fantasy IV, you're always, the storyline dictates who's in your party. But in Free Enterprise, as long as the rescue flag is, you can go back to Basidia at any point in the game and get any character that you've kicked out of your party and have them rejoin you.
Dimron took some hits there, but managed to get the hourglass off. Should be able to make quick work of the Dark Imps, hopefully.
Yeah, a couple of casting of Bahamut should takes care of most everything. As we see down on Silver's fire screen, Bahamut taking care of a bunch of dolls.
And Karate not standing a chance to the almighty Trixies.
One thing you might see some of the runners do from time to time when an enemy is dying is to throw a life potion on them. Due to a kind of interesting quirk or quote unquote bug, as you say in this game. The way that life potions and monsters work is really weird in this game, because when you use a life potion or the life one spell to revive one of your characters, the amount of hit points that your character revives with is based on your vitality stat. Unfortunately for enemies, the same thing holds true for them, and all of the enemies have a vitality of 0. So if you use a life potion on them as they die, it does revive them, but they have 0 HP. What does that mean for the runners? It means that the enemy actually dies twice, and you get an extra dose of their experience. And so in that Dark Imps fight that we saw on Demarin's screen, once one of them died, we saw somebody throw a life potion to get one of those Dark Imps. So instead of getting 3 Imps worth of experience, you got 4.
Yeah, and in the boss spot, that is a pretty good get for experience.
Yeah, and I think if you might have seen it earlier with some of the fights against, that's another one where it's quite often used.
I think Demerin making her way up, maybe going to check, see if Sheila's got the goods.
Yeah, this is what we're waiting for. Oh, but of course, gotta make us wait.
Yeah, keep that suspense going.
I just want to see it. Give me Sheila.
Demerin, a diligent note taker here, so remembers that these sorcerer robes is here, coming back and grabbing some.
Yeah, although the white robe might be better for one of the white magic users, the sorcerer robes are just good for everybody who's casting magic. Very good defense, good magic defense, buffs either white or black magic, whichever one you need. Very good piece of equipment overall. And it looks like she finally is heading over to Pool, and we are going to check to see if Sheila has the goods. Because, I mean, other than that, we do have Luca Key to check. Now, to be fair, I think Demerin still hasn't fought Valvolus. We'll see. It looks like, yeah, she's going to do that first.
Yeah, for her, it's a triple check. Really smart.
So, yeah, got to keep us in suspense a little bit longer. And I believe Moonblaze Wolf is going to do that same play. But if Sheila doesn't have the goods, the only things that check, I believe.
Yeah, with a Luca Key and an available tower spot.
Oh, it does look like Moonblaze Wolf is talking to Sheila first. Amazamune is not the goods. Turning in the pan, and adamant.
All right.
There we go. There's something. That is part of Go mode. So, Moonblaze Wolf, and Demerin's going to be right behind him. And it looks like Moonblaze Wolf does remember to go and defend Kabul, going to defeat Valvolus. Now everybody's going to have that in the bag.
So Rex, for the uninitiated, what does that V1 flag mean? What does adamant mean for getting to the end game here?
Yeah, so V1, variation 1 now. In the vanilla game of Final Fantasy IV, when you make it to Zeramis, Golbez hands Cecil the crystal, and you use that in order to transform Zeramis into his final form that you can defeat. In the randomizer, usually the crystal is included among the key items that you find by beating bosses, and basically the progression that we've been seeing in this one. However, in V1, we add a little bit more to that. So, also in the vanilla game, you can take the Adamant and the Legend Sword, 2 items that you have, to Kokol's workshop down in the underworld, and he will forge the 2 of them together into the Excalibur. In version 1, we take those same 2 items, the Legend Sword and the Adamant, but instead of forging the Excalibur, he forges that very crystal that transforms Zeramus into his final form. So the Adamant is required in order to complete this seed. The Legend Sword is required in order to complete this seed. A way to get to Kokol's hut, in this seed, it was the hook, is required in order to complete this seed. The last thing that we need, other than those 3, is a way to get to Zeramus. And there's 2 ways. You can either find the Darkness Crystal, head up to the moon, and walk down the lunar subterrane to get there, and that's the way that you do in the normal game. But the developer of this randomizer, Boardface, has programmed in a shortcut in the city of Toria. If you have the pass, it would normally lead you to some nightclub in the seedier neighborhood of Toria, but in this version, it leads you directly to Zeramus. So we're looking for either the pass or the Darkness Crystal, and the Legend Sword are the 2 that we have left in order to complete this seed.
Thanks, Rex. That was a fantastic explanation. And I like what Demeron's doing here, making their way over to Baron. There's 2 spots here to check, because there's a potential key item behind the Baron Castle boss spot, as well as a summon spot that hangs out in the basement. So 2 potential checks here.
Yeah, that's the vanilla Odin spot in the basement talking about. So yeah, the Baron Key is when we've got that the summon monsters available for potential key items. The Baron Key becomes a lot more lucrative by having that extra check there.
It looks like we're going to see some potential convergence here on Baron Castle.
Yeah, it looks like 3 of the runners making their way through Baron right now. And meanwhile, Maggie is going through those Feymarch fights that we saw some of the other runners take earlier.
Yeah, and that Legend Sword can potentially be on the moon as well. The moon boss spots up there are potential key item spots as well. So still a lot of potential in front of us.
Yeah, the moon bosses and the Bahamut, Cave Bahamut, is up for grabs. Looks
I'm
like
sure Scala would never roll us a value in Cave Bahamut.
Oh no! I have never put value up in Cave Bahamut.
Never.
No, never. Don't even bother with that. It's fine. It's fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything is fine. While I'm in here, just a very quick reminder, you are watching Power Up with Pride 2019. We are here raising money for the Trevor Project. If you'd like a bit more information about what you can put your money towards, I will go ahead, drop us a link to incentives as well as to donate. And remember, if you would like more information about the Trevor Project, which helps out with suicide prevention and crisis intervention for LGBTQ youth, you can always go to, and let me make sure I get this URL completely correct. It is www.thetrevorproject.org to access their services, find out more about their impact, or to donate from beyond just Power Up with Pride. So, and thank you all so much for being so generous so far. We are at over $8,000 raised so far this marathon. I am absolutely touched by everyone's generosity, and we've been able to play so many great games.
So amazing.
So, and I will hand it back over to Dave and Rex as we continue through Final Fantasy IV Re-Enterprise.
Thank you so much, Scala, and yeah, personally wanted to thank everyone as well. The Trevor Project is very near and dear to my heart, and just appreciate this whole experience in general. So thank you so much, everyone. And
yeah. And this has been such a big success. As Scala mentioned, over $8,000. So wonderful.
So wonderful. And Demeron diving down into the basement here.
I will note Demerin was able to get something really interesting for the first key item, and we're going to see both Moonblaze Wolf and Silverfire get that very shortly, and that is the Twin Harp. Fans of Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise know that that is a very exciting thing to find.
It's a wonderful thing.
So we are hoping that that's going to be where people go. Where people are forced to go there because we want to see that one. That one we want to see.
Always a fan favorite. Blaze not wasting any time either. To see what's down in this basement.
Yeah, while you're in the neighborhood, your character is strong enough. You've got Bahamut. Go ahead and give that a shot. Turns out it's Dr. Luge, and that is one of the easier bosses, I think, overall in this randomizer. There's not a whole lot of places where I'm really scared of Dr. Luge.
Yeah, the battle script itself gives you a lot of wiggle room to fit on a lot of stuff while it's just kind of mucking around.
Yeah.
All right, and we have Converge Maggie making their way to Baron as well.
Yeah, even though they can't see the other runners, Maggie must have peer pressure. Gotta go to Baron.
It's a smart check. It just shows just how skilled our runners are. They're definitely have a very even playing field tonight.
Yeah, in general, going to the places that have the highest number of potential key items check is kind of the mathematically correct way of playing. If you go somewhere where there's less checks, then you're making the gamble, and sometimes it pays off. But it looks like our runners are following the logic a little more.
I'm defiant. I love the gutsy checks. Yeah, like the early ordeals check by Moonblaze.
You one of the players who goes into Cave Bahamut before Lunar Subterrane, then?
Absolutely.
There you go.
I'm definitely not an example to live by, though.
Yeah, that's why we're the commentators and they're the people.
Exactly, that's why we're talking. Ooh, and we got a darkness crystal from that spot.
That is a huge, huge find.
The world just opened up.
So yeah, now, and with that, I don't know whether or not our runners are going to head towards that Twin Harp right away. They might just head straight up to the moon. Because the Darkness Crystal, if you once you've got it in your possession, you head to Mysidia, and the Elder will give you the Big Whale, which is the spaceship that'll take you to the moon. And there's a lot of potential key items on the moon.
Demerin going straight after that lunar whale, and I'm not surprised. A lot of potential checks up there, a lot of experience to be gained.
Oh, but Moonblaze Wolf is going north. It looks like Moonblaze Wolf is going to be the hero of the people. Unless he's just trolling us and is going your shop.
That would.
But no, heading up to the Chocobo Forest, going to find that black Chocobo and fly over to Cave Magnus, which is where the Twin Harp item is used. So and hopefully before too long we can get this music switched over to Moonblaze Wolf's stream, because we are going to want to hear basically one of the greatest Easter eggs that's in this game is the music that Edward plays in the Dark Elf vanilla location is randomized. Well, it's normally randomized In this one, we've got something picked out mostly by the audience and the donations that were given today.
Yes, everyone was super duper kind and generous. We raised, and I will get us the exact amount. We raised $128 in our little bid war for the harp music. And Edward, he's also been watching the marathon. So if you've been watching the marathon, trust me, you will recognize this music. But we'll all kind of go quiet and, as Rex would say, listen to Spoonie B's rocking tunes. Yeah, that is the overworld from Super Mario Brothers 2, aka Doki Doki Panic in Japan, from Cleric's run earlier in the marathon. So thank y'all again for donating. And I'll turn it back over to Rex and Dave to talk about this Ashura fight.
One of my favorite songs too. I love that tune. The Ashura fight is can be depending on where it is and what you've got available to you, can be nasty because Ashura has access to the Mighty Cure 4 spell. At this point, with that Heroine Robe, the Berserk spell, Artemis Bows, yeah, you could just brute force past Ashura without too much damage or without too much difficulty. Unfortunately, just another white robe, so it's not required, but at least we got to hear the music, so thank you, Moonblaze Wolf. And thank you, everybody, for donating for that wonderful Super Mario music. Even if it is Doki Doki Panic. It's still Super Mario 2 to me.
Look at stuff, and looks like Dimmer's taking some time to take out some King Ryus. Definitely a smart idea here on the moon to gain some levels.
Yeah, this is sort of the other kind of traditional grind fight that we see runners take. We already saw some of the runners take the sirens to summon eggs in the underworld. Up on the moon, you can summon these in a couple different places. You can summon these double King Ryu fights, and they are worth quite a bit of experience as well. You can see 120,000 experience right there for that fight for Demarin. And so that's just a way to get a massive boost of experience. The trade-off is those fights are a little bit longer than the egg fights, but you get more experience per fight. And so, like, if money management is an issue and you don't have as many sirens, then you're going to get more bang for your buck with these King Ryus.
And having done this and gained some levels, if Demarin does end up having to go back down to the blue planet for some reason to do some checks, then should make quick work of any of those checks after gaining these levels.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it looks like Moonblaze Wolf, hesitant to head up to the moon, wants to make sure everything available on the blue planet is taken care of. So we see him heading up to the sealed cave, using that Luca key to get in, and gonna check. The one thing that's kind of nice about the sealed cave is you can save outside of it, because you see the key item before you have to fight the boss. So if it's something you need, you can keep it and fight the boss and then make your way out of the cave. If you don't need it, you can just go ahead and reset.
Yeah, definitely a handy way to approach that spot. Can save you some time if it's not something you need.
You see as Moonblaze Wolf uses a different save slot to save at that save point next to the boss. Now, if it ends up being a tough boss, but Moonblaze put an important item, he can reset to that spot and try again on the boss. Otherwise, we'll see here. Tower key, he's probably going to want to keep that at this point, since that could yield an important item. With no reset, it looks like he agrees.
Yeah, could be just the item that we need. We don't know where that legend sword's at yet, so definitely can't skip any potential key item spot at this point.
Yeah, at this point, if the legend sword is in the then Moonblaze Wolf has a huge lead right now. If the legend sword is on the moon, then I think Demarin's in the lead right now.
Demarin's making expert use of that life glitch to gain additional experience here in the King Ryu spot. Definitely a good example of that.
And with that, there's a couple of things that Demarin has taken advantage of. The life glitch, as you mentioned. The other thing is she has 10 key items, and with this, once you get to 10 key items, you get double the experience for the fight. That's why you get 180,000 experience for that fight. But even if you didn't have 10 key items, 90,000 is still a lot. But getting 180,000 with the life glitch and the double XP glitch just means that grinding does not take very long.
And meanwhile, Silverfire is showing why they are 2v2 partners with Demarin on a regular basis. They like to think alike, and being our second one to head to the moon.
Yeah, meanwhile, Maggie is kind of following the same play that Moonblaze Wolf did, heading down to the Cave Magnus. Now, I believe Silverfire did Cave Magnus, but did not follow up on the sealed cave that Moonblaze Wolf is now warping out of. It's a cave that you can't use the exit spell, but you can use the warp spell. So you make use of what you can. Because
Maggie making the play for the people, always appreciated.
And anytime you get to hear more Super Mario 2 music is always good. Or at least that theme. The rest of the game, the music is pretty okay, but that theme is amazing, I think.
Alright, and Moonblaze is getting geared up, getting ready to take on the tower. So we're getting a good branching out here to see where that potential legend sword might be at.
Yeah, now there are a lot more checks for Demarin on the moon than there are for Moonblaze Wolf in the tower. There's only 2 potential key items in the tower. One at the very top, and we know that the boss up there is Baigan, and one that's partway up that's gated by that tower key that Moonblaze Wolf found at the bottom of the sealed cave. The one partway up is a very low HP, very low feet. The one at the top is a high HP boss.
And Demarin's going after that wyvern spot. I love it. And we have the Magus sisters.
This is actually not overall a bad place to see them. That Delta attack is not super strong in this location. Because since the Wyvern uses Mega Nuke and then reflects nukes off of you, if the Wyvern had a super high magic stat, then that would just be really super insanely difficult for you to defeat in the vanilla game. So it's got a relatively low magic attack, and so that makes the Mega Sisters a bit more, a bit less dangerous. I think would be the best way to.
Yeah, and at these levels, Bahamut's gonna deal out the punishment.
Yeah, one thing to note, since some of the bosses there's multiple targets and some there's only one, like in the vanilla game, the Wyvern is here. So in this spot, since there's the 3 targets, Sandy, Cindy, and Mindy, the amount of HP that Wyvern has is divided among them in the same kind of ratio that the Mega Sisters HP is at.
So not the Legend Sword, but we did get the pass, and that's a pretty handy item. So whenever she does go to forge that crystal, she has a shortcut right back to Zeromus.
Yeah, not going to have to make this walk down to the bottom of the loop. So that's going to definitely be a time saver. Looks like the Moonblaze Wolf found the magma key up at the top of the tower. Since the only thing the magma key is used for open up a way to the underworld, since we've already found a way to the underworld, that is just something to take up an inventory slot. Looks like Demarin now checking out the spot where you normally fight the Lunar D's. And finds
favorite moon spots here.
Finds Plague. This is as long as Demarin has all the equipment necessary to handle this boss, it shouldn't be too dangerous for her. But this fight in this spot could definitely trip up somebody learning this. This is not a trivial spot. You need to know what you're doing in order to have.
Yeah, you definitely have to be prepared. That timer can get out of hand very quickly if you don't know what you're doing here. But making smart use of things like kamikazes and re-resurrecting resets that timer. So
yeah, basically Plague wants all of the characters to have that count status on. Once the count gets to 0, the characters die. But if you kill somebody off and then resurrect them, since that one character doesn't have the count status on, Plague will re-up that count and reset everybody back up to 10. So...
And I didn't see Moonblaze finish that boss, but based on what I'm seeing, I think they found the magma key.
Yeah, it was the magma key at the top. Yes, that's correct. And now we're going to see the second potential key item here. Moonblaze Wolf is hoping for a Legend Sword.
Yeah, and Venerable, I definitely agree. Plague is a very interesting boss mechanically. And you see there just how easily it can get out of hand, that timer.
Well, it was... We saw some characters die, but that's not even necessarily bad.
No, because every time she resurrects another one, it's going to reset that counter. But you need to keep enough up to deal the damage.
Yeah, you need to make sure that you're taking your time to deal some damage in there as well. Being able to hit with light. Now, the thing is, what I said about the split targets. Excellent. Demarin, able to take care of it, has been able to chip away at damage throughout the whole thing. Well played. That's worth 200,000 experience points in that spot, too. That's real nice. And 2 potential key items.
Ooh, Legend Sword.
Legend Sword found.
It was officially in go mode. Moonblaze Wolf also found the package from the Tower Cannon spot. Not much help there, so going to make their way to the moon.
Yeah, so here we go. Demarin is now going to be... As long as she feels... It looks like she might want to do a little bit more grinding. Take care of all of the levels that she needs while she's on the moon here with those Double King Ryu fights. Once she's done leveling, she's going to head down and forge that crystal.
Maggie, meanwhile, facing Baigan at the top of tower. Fortunately, doesn't know. Not going to get a lot of help here.
No, it's unfortunate. And that's the sort of, gamble sort of situation that you're talking about. Like, you had a couple different routes that you could go. You could either try to clean up everything that's left on the blue planet, or you could go to the moon. And both Moonblaze Wolf and Maggie chose the blue planet. Demarin and Silver in the end chose the moon, and it's going to pay off for both Demarin and probably Silver. I imagine Silver's going to be checking that where that plague is very shortly.
And still going down kind of a similar path to Dimmering, finding that pass, which was a good find. See if they continue to follow Dim's path and go after that same Lunar boss spot.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned.
And right
they
to
might
it,
think alike.
like a
So
magnet.
yeah,
They definitely think alike.
both checking that that vanilla wyvern spot on the way down, getting that pass. That's a big find, and I don't know if like going to that wyvern spot on the way down isn't in every runner's like go-to playbook. So some of them may decide. We don't know about Moonblaze Wolf or Maggie. They might decide to go right down to that plague spot first. If they get that legend sword before finding that pass, that just means that they're probably going to end up walking down through that lunar subterranean and just losing a little bit more time.
Yeah, Silverfire also does not have Kamikaze, so it's a little more danger here for the start of this fight. Just in time.
Yeah, having one kamikaze to start off the fight is really nice, but after the first one, it's not usually as bad because you revive somebody in critical health and it's easy to just, kind of whack them or shoot them with an arrow or cast a virus on them and get them dead again without having to use it. The first one's nice, but after that, it is still a little bit easier, but definitely not as necessary as the first one would be sometimes.
Yeah, and that can definitely show the difference between an experienced runner and a new one very quickly. It's just that menuing speed, which in that plague spot makes all the difference. Cutting it close here.
Well, as long as there's one person without the count, you should be able to recover. And this time nobody goes down, so
Yeah, that's a good one. I think
Demmer must be happy with her levels. It's up to Kogel's hut.
yeah, just securing an agility anchor and getting a little extra safety and getting ready to go.
Yeah, when you talk about an agility anchor, what that means is the way that Final Fantasy IV calculates how fast everybody in the battle is relative to, well, in the vanilla game it's relative to Cecil, whatever agility he has. But in this we don't have Cecil, so whoever's in the middle of the 5 characters is kind of what we call the anchor. So if that character in the middle has a low agility, then your other characters are going to end up 4 turns relative to that person. That's kind of just a very simple way of kind of talking about it, but there's a lot of details, a lot of work been put into exactly how agility anchoring and relative agilities work in this game. It's a science at this point, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. And meanwhile, Silverfire is in go mode as well, and we'll be making preparations here while Dimmer's going to be our first one to go to Zermas.
Yeah, and that means we've got a question we've got to ask, don't we, Dave?
Whose butt we gonna kick?
I know whose butt we gonna kick.
Spoilers.
Spoil. I won't spoil anything. I will say that if you have been watching the marathon, you have seen this boss previously in the marathon.
Oh, coming back for more.
Yes. So one boss that we have seen previously, she has come back. It's going to be up to our writers in Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise to defeat her once again.
She's back for revenge.
Yes.
She might be.
Dun dun dun. No, it's not from Neopets.
If only.
Right now, we're waiting to see the true colors revealed.
Yeah, I'm getting all excited over here.
Yeah. Wouldn't be Demerin without leaving us a little suspense here.
I'm also enjoying all these guesses.
Tamagotchi would be amazing.
Okay, that's totally going on my list to do.
Yeah.
Alright, anyway, so who is it tonight? Or this morning, whichever.
Ooh.
So it is the Radiance, who we saw earlier in Hollow Knight when Alex Amber ran it. So she has such a wonderful boss design. It was a lot of fun to render her.
That is a gorgeous sprite. That is so well done.
Oh, all the artwork in Hollow Knight is absolutely beautiful. I had a lot of fun sort of sampling her down for the Sinesse. So anyway, I will leave you all to commentating the actual fight. But thank you again, everyone who donated for the bid war. We raised $82, I believe. I will double check, make sure that is correct. $84. So thank you all for doing that and having that money go on to help the Trevor Project. Anyway, y'all can go ahead and talk about the fight.
Thank you so much, Skull. And Evil Glove from Glover, also a fantastic suggestion.
So what we're seeing Demerin in this fight, and when you have access to a party that's all spellcasters, this is kind of a common strategy. You're going to see them use their most powerful attack spells. The white mages are going to use white. Rydia is going to be using nuke. Its single target does a ton of damage. Now, you might be wondering, well, why are we reflecting it off Rydia there and not just going directly on the boss itself? Well, and there's two reasons for that. The first is whenever you target the final boss, Zeramis or Radianimus, with a direct nuke or white spell, it will counter with a nuke spell on one of your characters. And, why take that hit if you don't have to? But the second and kind of more important reason, and yeah, even more important than that, is that the way that Zeramis's HP total is calculated, instead of just having the huge HP pool, about halfway through it, he'll refill his HP up. So it's like half of his HP goes down, and then he goes back up to halfway, and then he's dead. But if you do reflected damage on him, then that HP refill gets skipped, and you go directly to defeating him without having to deal with that. So that's you don't have to deal as much damage if you're all reflected spells. So those two reasons are the reasons why instead of doing directly targeting onto the final boss, you're reflecting the magic.
And you can see here why we have to be very careful. Those big bangs hit really hard if they're not nerfed in any way, and a stray nuke is not something you want to think about while that's going on.
Yeah, it's definitely dangerous. But at this point, I think Demerin's probably pretty close. And I think Demerin thinks so too, because she's not even thinking about reviving those Rydias, just getting another wall up and heading through those. And there's a flash. Demerin has finished.
Demerin is our first finish at roughly 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 35 seconds.
Yeah, GG's to Demerin, taking first place in this race.
Finish at roughly 1 hour, 40 minutes. Very well done. And Silverfire not far behind, having done some egg grinds. They are ready to go as well. Maggie's making their way up to the moon, and Moonblaze is checking spots on his way down.
Yeah, Demerin played her way through this seed very well, I must say. Like making intelligent choices at every step of the way, able to make that triple play in Fabul Castle. Checking all three of those at once was really nice. And then when the choice came and had access to both the Twin Harp and the Big Whale and the Darkness Crystal, made what ended up being the right choice by going to the Lunar Subterrane and finding that both the Pass and the Legend Sword in there. So everything really worked out well for Demerin, and she handled some really tough bosses. She struggled a little bit on the Orc fight first time, but once she was through that, didn't really have a problem with anything else. Handled that Plague fight perfectly, and played really well in the final battle as well. All things done very well by Demerin, and a well-deserved win here.
Most definitely well done. I believe Demerin has joined us. Congratulations.
Yay, I did it.
You did it.
Yeah, and I just spent about a minute talking about how good you. So, GG's.
I mean, I wiped, 5 times on Odin or something? Other than that, like, my routing was good. I made the right guess. You put the pass at Wyvern and then the Legend Sword at Ribbon Spot, and I'm going to beat people.
And Odin, I mean, there was a little bit of random chance that was involved there, and you were definitely not the only one to wipe there multiple times.
Yeah, I figured that was the case, but boy, was I pressing hard. I'm really glad that my route really paid out very well today with the Dwarf Castle play, followed up by skipping Ogopogo and skipping Luka Cave and going straight to the moon with half of Go mode.
Yeah, it was very well done, and Silverfire basically just hot on your heels the whole time, obviously why you're both 2v2 partners.
Yeah, we routed this a lot. The only mistake I really felt like I made is I should have had sword shirts before I went underground. Like, I should have sold the farm to get my hands on at least 2 of them for the Ridias. But otherwise, it was real good. I even had the Kamikaze that I was hanging on to the entire time for Plague, and that was sitting in my inventory waiting for me, and everything just fell really neatly into place once I got underground, which was nice. It's a welcome change.
Yeah, that Plague fight, I think, could possibly trip up some runners, because that's a very high HP spot, and if you're not prepared to deal with it. But yeah, with that Kamikaze, and then everything went through that fight, seemed to go really well for you there.
Yeah, Blaze went with Plan A, though, which is just nuke it from orbit, because it's the only way to be sure, which ended up working out pretty well. Just firing off whites and nukes like there was no tomorrow, because there's not. You get one volley.
Yeah, I mean, if you can dish out enough, it'll do the trick too, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, there were Lunar Staves for sale, and there were Charm Rods early and Chain Rods late, so a lot of good options for DPS weaponry for spellcasters. I just didn't go and grab any of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you did before you went to the moon, you bought those sorcerer robes, but in your practice for this playset, did you do a lot of equipment shopping?
Yes. Yeah, it ended up being that the game plan was we were going to go... Syl and I practice together, obviously. Like, we're 2v2 partners, we're practice partners. We play together an awful lot. And so what ended up happening is that the game plan was, let's go and shop. Let's see what's in the shops. Let's make sure we have a good idea of what S3 will give us. It was like tiaras and heron robes and sword shirts and black dresses. So we had a sense of what we were going to get out of it, which is super, super important. Because that allowed us to do a lot of planning. I was really frustrated because I found, like I said, I found Lunar Staves and sword shirts, and I definitely should have had a pair of sorcerer shirts before I went underground. Or at least, black dresses, even though they don't increase your damage on A.
Right.
So even though I did a lot of preparation, I didn't really leverage it as well as I could have. This could have been like a 130 with, a little bit better play. I also went and bought Zeus Rages and wiped on Staleman like I was, a rookie, and then went into my inventory on one of the Odin wipes looking for the item to finish.
Oh no!
Looks like Syl finished. Yay, Syl, you did it.
Syl in second place, 145.03, just right past that 45 mark. And Moonblaze almost right head to Zeromus as well in go mode.
And Maggie's in the Plague fight, which we know will yield the what's it called? Legend Sword. That's the one.
Their legend sword.
Their Legend Sword.
By the way, Demarine, while I have you, I do have a donation to read.
Okay.
We have a donation from DJ ATC, who is is a member of the Final Fantasy IV FE community, and they say free enterprise is always a good time. Donation incentive goes to winner's choice. GG. So you can just get back to me about where you would like that incentive to go.
Cool.
So I figured I would let you know, and well, we had a moment, but yay for Syl as well.
Valkyrie's finishing 1 and 2 because that's what we expected.
Heck yeah.
Always good to be confident.
We're a good bunch.
You are.
Most definitely. All right, and Moonblaze did not get the pass, so gonna have to make the long trek back down.
Maggie just picked up their Legend Sword. Also does not have the pass, so probably will also be making that extra walk. So that's just some extra bonus time that Demarine and Syl had on the other 2 runners tonight.
And Demarine, I'm sure you're exhausted, ready to get out of here. You know you've got a long day. Was there anything else you'd like to add?
Of course, thanks to Power Up with Pride for again supporting randomizers, supporting the Trevor Project, which is such an excellent thing. I went 3 for 3 this week, which is exciting to me. I have not lost a randomizer race in a while, so feeling really confident going into randomizer tournament season this summer.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations again, and thank you so much for joining us, Demarine. Have a fantastic night, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right, and that was Demarine, our winner tonight for our Final Fantasy IV free enterprise 80% ladies night category. That was a lot of fun watching her make this run and taking admitting yeah, Odin was tough. I made a lot of mistakes there, but everything else seemed to go so well for her. The routing panned out so well, so a well-deserved win.
Yeah, we have Maggie and Moonblaze just gearing up for a Zero Must fight at this point.
Yeah, and it looks like Moonblaze will wanting to make sure that everybody in the party is. The way that you handle the Zero Must fight is oftentimes different than you handle the rest of the bosses in the game, and so you might want to make a lot of changes. And you see that cursed ring sitting on Porum there, and when we talk about that relative agility, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, if you can make the character in the middle have lower agility, that might make the rest of your characters go faster, and the cursed ring does reduce the agility of whoever has that on there. So it's not a good item, but sometimes it's what you need.
Most definitely. Maggie making their way to the moon, and should have 2 Zero Must fights in front of us in just a moment. While we're waiting for them to get there, I want to personally just take this opportunity to thank all of the kindness and generosity that's gone out for this. The Trevor Project is a very close to my heart project, and I really personally appreciate just all of the generosity around this event. And I want to personally thank Demarine for picking me for commentary for this. It's an honor and a privilege.
And I'd like to thank the generosity of everybody who's donated throughout this event. That we've got over $8,500 raised for such a good cause is just a testament to how wonderful the people are for this Power Up with Pride event. And it looks like Moonblaze Wolf has made it to Zeromus, or oh man, I don't even remember. It's 4:30 in the morning here, so yeah.
The radiance.
The radiance.
Yeah,
Okay.
the radiance from Hollow Knight.
I remember the Hollow Knight part, but
A big bug.
But she's such a pretty bug.
She a pretty bug. And Moonblaze is very close to finding out whose butt he gets to kick.
Meanwhile, it looks like Maggie's not quite done with their grinding, using some sirens to summon a few more King Ryu.
Nothing wrong with that. Definitely smart to have a little more security and safety going into that Zeromus fight.
Yeah, generally you want to have close to, if not over, 2,000 HP on most of your party members.
Can you get away with it without doing it? Yeah, but it's gutsy.
Yeah, if you're really low level, you could do it with Edward too, but that's a different thing.
Yeah, we run community races every single week, and you would be surprised at some of the amazing plays we have seen at the Zeromus fight.
Okay, so that first big bang hits, and if you make Zeromus do a counter nuke before the first big bang hits, that first big bang will be weakened, or we generally refer to it as being nerfed. And so it will do quite a bit less damage than its potential. Now, after that, the question becomes, do you want to try to make the next big bang also have less power? The timing for that is a lot more difficult than the first one. And so whether or not you want to try to do that is kind of up to the individual runner and how comfortable they are in doing.
Maggie's knocking out a couple more King Ryus here, and Moonblaze Wolf just reflecting the bombs.
And so you saw Moonblaze Wolf unequipping things like the Heroine Robe, the bow, the Dragon Whip. All of this will make their whites and nukes a lot more strong, because although they're good for physical attacking and dealing with other bosses quickly, they do not really help with you're going to be reflecting whites and nukes.
Yeah, physical damage here isn't really desirable because we want to skip that HP refill that Rex referenced earlier. So we don't want to risk that by throwing physical damage at Radianimus. Radianimus.
Had to try really hard, fit that into like 10 characters, y'all.
Well done.
That might be one of the more
GG.
difficult things you do.
Yeah, GG to Moonblaze Wolf. Third place, 154.56. Well done.
And GG's to Moonblaze Wolf.
And Maggie's almost there. Just a little bit more here to secure better health for.
Yeah, shouldn't be like one or two more King Ryu. Probably gonna put them in a good spot here.
Yeah, just going for a little more safety. And not to put you on the spot, Scala, but while we're waiting on this grind to finish, is there any more donations or anything you'd like to read off?
Let me double check, make sure, sort of check our latest. Don't have any donations for you. I will very quickly just remind you all what we are here to support. We here at Power Up with Pride 2019, we are supporting the Trevor Project. It is the leading national organization providing crisis intervention and suicide prevention services to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning youth. And you can check them out at www.thetrevorproject.org to access their services, to find out more about their impact, or to donate outside of Power Up with Pride. I will very quickly drop a quick link to the incentives. It would help if I could spell properly. There we go. Well, so the donate link. Our next open incentive is actually for another Final Fantasy game. It is going to be for Chocobo Racing. We are about halfway through our incentive to race on the Final Fantasy VIII track with a hidden character. So that'll be a little nice extra bonus. We are at $364 out of $750, and that's runs not probably going to be for another 4.5 hours or so. So y'all have some time, and the next run we're going to have up on deck after this one is going to be SpongeBob SquarePants Plug and Play. So I think that sounds like a lot of fun.
That sounds really interesting. Definitely looking forward to that.
I'd like to give one other shout out. Doing a little bit of tracking kind of behind the scenes for us tonight has been Gambit 017. I just want to thank them for helping us out and making sure that we know what key items everybody has. So thank you very much. Like, it's on the back end, but very helpful, at least for me tonight. So I very much appreciate that.
Yeah, Trekkers are our unspoken heroes for any of these broadcasts with Free Enterprise. Typically we have trackers on screen for you to see, but for this particular one we don't. But for commentators like Rex and myself, having them available to see is very, very useful. So
all right, and now Maggie is making march to Zerimus, ready to make the final walk, and doing a little bit of reorganizing to make sure they know where the items that they're going to want to use during the fight are. So you're not just hunting through your inventory like, I know I've got it here somewhere, where is it?
And Maggie definitely very quickly going to find out whose butt they get to kick tonight, which, as we know, is Radianimus.
There we go.
I think I got it now.
It only took us like 4 tries. We got there.
Radianimus.
I'll let Dave say it.
Beautiful bug ladiomus.
I word real good.
You word real good for having been commentating for 2 hours very early in the morning. We're on commentary hard mode % right now.
That is the truth.
It's alright, I have Rex to lean on, so I have the easy job.
And once again, you see the veil going off right at the beginning. And I didn't mention it before, but the silk web that the players have been using will make that counter nuke happen that reduces the first Big Bang. It also, the silk web acts as basically 2 castings of the slow spell, and that does work on Zerimus, and so that's definitely going to be helpful throughout the course of the fight as well.
Yeah, you definitely want to slow down how quickly those Big Bangs are coming in and potential phase changes. It's very useful, and as we said, nerfs that first Big Bang, which is also very useful.
Yeah, and that way you get to just concentrate on reflecting nukes and whites and dealing as much damage as fast as possible.
So for someone that might be a little new to this, so we do know Aridias, they have Bahamut. Why might they not want to use that for this fight?
Well, once you get to the moon, most of the bosses don't like it when you use summons on them, and Zerimus is no exception. It counters with, is it a target all virus?
I don't remember if it was media or all virus. I think it's all virus.
And so that's whatever it does, you don't want to see it.
It hurts.
So nuke is going to be, nuke is better for a couple of reasons. It doesn't take as long to cast. It doesn't have the bizarre counter that's going to be really nasty, and it can be reflected. So all of those reasons, nuke is just a lot more better. In general, even if you don't level up Rydia enough to get to the nuke spell, reflecting level 3 elemental magic is generally going to be better than using a summon against Zeramus. Summons are good for a lot of the game, but
not here.
Yeah.
And our winner, Demerin, correctly pointing out, it is in fact all viruses that it counters with, and it doesn't even nerf the big bangs, so
yeah,
not helpful. And we got a flash. That's a GG for Maggie the Cat. 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 11 seconds. GG's to all of our amazing runners tonight.
Yeah, all 4 did a great job on their runs. It was very fun to watch all of them tonight showcase such a great game.
And also, additionally, since I was asked to figure this out, the free enterprise run raised $501.37. So thank you, everyone, for being super duper generous.
Thank you so much.
And for all that money going over to the Trevor Project, y'all are fantastic and amazing. Y'all make it absolutely a dream to work with this community. I didn't mention it at the beginning, but I'm actually one of the devs for this ROM hack. And every time it shows up in a charity marathon, like, I work really, really hard to make sure that we have stuff like custom sprites and music that will properly fit the marathon. So thank you, everyone, for being amazing. Thank you so much to Dave and Rex for being our great commentators. And, of course, a big, big thank you to all of our runners, to our winner, Demarine 2, second place, Silverfire, third place, Moonblaze Wolf, and fourth place, Maggie the Cat. All of you were amazing and wonderful, and we can't thank you enough for showing off this game and making it all look super duper fantastic. I know we're going to be probably switching hosts in just a little bit as we move into SpongeBob SquarePants Plug and Play. Hey, I got that full title there. So thank you all again for having me be the host. I've been Scala Kitty. Thank you all so, so much for the opportunity and to help support Power Up with Pride 2019. Please keep watching. We still have so many amazing runs coming up. We have plenty of other great incentives that your donations can go towards. And we just love to have you all just come hang around. We're just doing our best to make a nice, cozy little charity marathon that's welcoming to everyone.